Shalom, Kal Halayim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashai, Waharakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone where I learned this truth. Peace, salutation, blessings, and mercy to the Lord's elect. I opened this lesson speaking the ancient Hebrew, and I gave all praises to the Most High and his one and only true name, which is Yahweh. Yahweh means he is, he exists, he to be. Bahashem means in the name of Yahawashai. All right, Yahawashai means he deliver or he savior. And the real Hebrew Israelites are us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The self-proclaimed white man is Esau Edom. That's his true nationality, the Edomite. And he's the great wicked in this earth. All right, and the rest of the nations are known as the heathen. All right, so I'm back in the spirit with a very quick video. Lord's will was edifying. Just reporting on, a major topic that's going on in the news. And it's with these tariffs, all right, this tariff war that these nations have going on. In particular, this guy, Trump, and his tariffs and the nation's response to his tariffs is going to have a heavy direct effect on the global economy. All right, this is indeed a device, amongst many other devices that's going to be used to crash the global economy. All right, and what's the purpose? Their purpose of crashing the global economy is to usher in a new system under the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. All right, that new digital system. Okay, so definitely the collapse of the U.S. dollar and the collapse of the global economy is designed. All right, and they're going to use things like, pandemics, tariffs, wars, and various other things to accomplish this. All right, so I don't have to click on any article in particular because we all know what's going on. All right, this is one of the main things they've been talking about in the news. All right, but as you see, this one, it says global markets in turmoil as Trump's tariffs wipe 2.5 trillion off Wall Street. Okay, so this isn't only just going to affect the U.S.'s economy, but the global market. All right, and mind you, the U.S. is the biggest consumer nation that there is. All right, a lot of what we have here in this country is imported from these different countries. Okay, so this is having a direct effect on the global market. Okay, 2 days ago, Asian stock market crashed as tariff war escalates. Trump's tariffs may end up blowing up the U.S. dollar hegemony. Trump's tariffs trigger global market downturn. All right, so we're on a highway road, on a highway track to the crash of not only the U.S. dollar, but the global economy. And again, this is their plan. This is their agenda so that they could usher in that mark of the beast, that digital all, right? The microchip. Because at the same time this is happening, they're promoting like never before the mark of the beast. All right, Neuralinks and brain chip implants. This newest one right here. Let me see. Bear with me a second. Yeah, this is the one. Let's click on this. from 2 days ago. And I'm tired of these damn cookies and shit. Every website you click on. So it says brain-computer interfaces are typically unwieldy, which makes using them on the move a non-starter. A new neural interface small enough to be attached between the user's hair follicles keeps working even when the user is in motion. All right, but the main point is that every time you look up in the news, they're promoting brain implants. All right, microchips that go in your hand. This is becoming a very common thing in the news that we've never seen pushed before at this magnitude. Why? Because going back to what we opened up with, they're getting ready to crash this current system and implement the new one, headed by the mark of the beast. All right. So I got a couple precepts here. This first one dealing with this great economic, global economic crash that's coming. All right. And that's how you know they have to crash the global economy. All right. Don't get caught up in these different currencies that these other nations have going on, and cryptocurrency. All of that shit is going to fail. It has to fail. Right. So that, like, Revelation 13 and 16 on down says they want to cause all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive this mark. All right. And that there's no way of buying or selling without that mark, that charagma, that implant. Okay. So we clearly see, you know, the things that's going on in the news is leading right up to that moment. Okay. The Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that we have this insight to see and to know what's coming. All right. So let's jump down to the point in verse 10. And of course, this has happened in history in the past, but it's getting this time we're in is known as Jacob's trouble in the scriptures, a time like never before. So the scriptures also tell us that there's no new thing under the sun. All right. So there's always been famines and, you know, wars and economic collapses and great catastrophes. But this time we're in, it's going to be the greatest. All right. All of those things. So here in Zephaniah 1 and verse 10, it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate." All right. And in the ancient world, you know, a fish gate was a place where you bought and you traded. Okay. So modern day, you know, here in America, that will be Wall Street. All right. The stock market. It says, "And in howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills." All right. Not crashing from the hills represent, you know, these governments. Okay. So that great crash is coming. It reads, "Howl ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, and they that bear silver are cut off." All right. So all of these merchants, these modern day merchants that transport, you know, sell and trade goods. Okay. And then it says all they that bear silver are cut off. You know, when you look at the price of silver and gold, it's crazy. The price of gold right now is over $3,000 for an ounce of gold. And I recall back in 2022, you know, it was like 1,900 for an ounce of gold. With just in 3 years, it went from 1,900 to now 3,000. Right? Just like that. Okay. So as the price of gold and silver continues to rise, you know, out here in LA, they have that diamond district where they sell gold and you know, diamonds and jewelry. Well, who's really going to be buying jewelry at a time like this? All right. Who's going to be buying a gold chain, that once was back in 2017 was $500. Now that same gold chain is $4,000.
Can I get a manager to back?
Slack it. Let me mute this thing. Or that example might have been a little, extreme with the numbers, but let's say the same gold chain that was $500 in 2017 or even 3 years ago, that same gold chain is now doubled. All right, it's now $1,000. Or a ring with a gold ring with some diamonds and stuff in it, which all that is vain anyway. All right, has doubled, tripled the price now. Okay, so these businesses, I'm using, the jewelry business as an example, but all of these businesses are feeling it, even from these tariffs. All right, I know, there's certain brothers that I know that are welders, that have union jobs, and they've even told us that, where they're working at, they're cutting hours because their company, let's see, not the products, but the components that they order and use to make the products, they come from overseas. So now that, there's been a tax on that, things are now getting tight and trickling down to, the employees at the job. So people are feeling it. We're in a fast process to a great economic collapse. Okay, which the economic collapse I mentioned is going to lead to the mark of the beast, the hour of temptation, but it's also going to lead to this famine that's prophesied. Okay, so this is right here, Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. All right. Now this black horse with the rider on it with the balances, this black horse represents famine. All right. Famine and death. As it says in verse 6, and I heard the voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now, to put this into modern perspective, let's say a measure of wheat, a portion of wheat is likened to, let's say, a loaf of bread. All right. So a loaf of bread for a penny. All right. It doesn't, when it says penny here, really all penny means is a day's worth of wage. All right. So the average person, their daily pay could range anywhere from like $150 to $300. They may make in one day. So imagine going to the grocery store one day and a loaf of bread is $200. That's called hyperinflation. And right now we're in inflation. Okay, so this scripture we're reading right now is a prophecy of hyperinflation during a famine. All right, to where a measure, a portion of wheat, like a loaf of bread or something, a damn bagel, will be a whole day's worth of pay. See, this is the time we're coming into. That's why many are going to fall into the hour of temptation and take that mark of the beast, because they're going to think that that's an escape out of judgment. But really, once you take that mark, you mark yourself for a worser judgment than a famine. All right. Because the penalty for taking that is to be burned with fire and brimstone. All right. By that thermonuclear fire and laser beams from the chariots of Yahushua and the angels. And there's no pain on this side that could top that. And then it says, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine, which the oil and the wine here represents the elect of Israel. That's going to be delivered from this famine and delivered from all other troubles. Okay, so with that being said, we'll go and end this lesson off in Job, the 5th chapter. Straight to the point in verse 19. This is the Most High speaking to his elect. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. All right. This is the Most High speaking through his servant, Job. All right. I believe this is Job speaking here because he was in a dialogue with his so-called friends. Okay. No, this isn't Job speaking. This is Eliphaz speaking to Job. All right. Well, here in verse 19, Job 5 and 19, it reads, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. All right. So this is the Most High speaking through Eliphaz. Yea, in 7, there shall no evil touch thee. All right. The 6 troubles that the elect to be delivered from represent the famine, the pestilence, the different various plagues. All right. But in 7, there shall no evil touch thee. The 7th trouble is the 7th trumpet in Revelations, which is the nuclear destruction. All right. Here's the point. Verse 20, in famine, he shall redeem thee from death. All right. And the scriptures speak a lot about how the elect will eat during the time of famine. And in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. Just think about that. To laugh at a destruction and a famine, what state of being are we going to be in to where we're qualified to laugh at these things? That's why we just got to trust and have faith in the Lord. It says, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. All right. Why? Because they're going to sense the high level spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai on us. Okay. So that's the point. These things, them pushing the market of beasts and these tariffs, the global economy collapses, these are judgments being set up and prepared for the wicked of this world. But as we're reading, the elect is going to be delivered from these things. So I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the Lord's elect. Shalom.